What's going on, everybody? It's Policies here, and welcome back to a brand new video. One of the major issues that people have been talking about, especially in the African American community, is should they trust Hillary Clinton with their vote? Should they actually go out on a limb and vote for somebody that they've heard a lot of terrible things about? A woman that has apparently have been in cahoots with lots of different governments, the Secretary of State. There's allegations that she's made mistakes with Benghazi. There's lots of allegations that she was using her private email for hiding things. And I completely understand that. And a lot of African Americans, and even African American scholars, are indirectly pushing for Donald Trump to win simply because they just don't like Hillary Clinton. It's not that they disagree with her policies. It's not that they think that her policies are going to harmfully impact African Americans in any way. When I mean impact in a negative way, I mean such as cutting off different social benefits or not helping them with affirmative action or really just not helping them in any way regarding boosting their incomes or reducing poverty for the community. And I see that. I see that it's really a big personality battle between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. That's pretty much what we're talking about. There is a professor out there named Bryce Watkins. He's a black professor, teaches at Syracuse University. He's written a lot about African American communities and their economic development and how they could work together in different co-ops and pretty much black people help black people out by saving up money together and investing in different black people's businesses and building a black wealthy community. And I think that is a really great thing, and I definitely believe that at the end of the day, blacks have to kind of help themselves to see success. And the U.S. does have lots of successful African Americans. If you go to Atlanta, Georgia, you'll see quite a few of them in law and medicine. If you go to Chicago, you'll see quite a few in the big cities. And people like Dr. Watkins accuses a lot of these people of being in cahoots with white people, and that's not necessarily true. A lot of times, if you're going to be a doctor, most of your classmates are going to be white. And if you're a lawyer, a lot of them will probably be white. And that doesn't mean you're in cahoots with them. It doesn't mean you're supporting them. It just means, you're working in a society in which there's a lot of different cultures, right? And that's the United States for you. But to say that, to go as far to say that voting for Donald Trump would be a better vote than Hillary Clinton, if you look at it from personality perspective, I can kind of see it. Donald Trump is a very loud person. He comes off as he's honest. I remember this one professor said, Donald Trump always speaks the truth without the truth. So he comes off as a really honest guy, a direct talker, a straight shooter. Unlike Hillary Clinton is kind of that, she does feel like a politician, right? Like Barack Obama. They have that professionalism now, that in that intellect that is really looked down upon now in American society. American society doesn't like smart politicians anymore. They hate them. There's a huge anti-intellectualism happening in America right now, and it's really hurting Hillary Clinton. And you see this example with a lot of the other Democratic candidates that could have ran, right? The mayor of LA is a really smart guy, a really liberal, really helping out the blacks and Hispanics within California, but people won't take him seriously because he comes off as an intellect, as a professor type, and people don't like that. So from that perspective, I could see why people like Donald Trump. He's a straight shooter, although I'm not going to go into this, but although he lies a lot, about almost every other sentence is pretty much wrong, but people believe that he's a straight shooter, and people think that he would be good for them. And I see that. And Hillary Clinton, the media has been against her for 2 years. A lot of people don't know that, but the media, Harvard came with a study saying that the media has been in cahoots with Donald Trump and Sanders. It's not like Donald Trump paid them off or that Sanders paid them off, but the media wanted to see the showdown between Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. And that might be because the media wanted to see Bernie Sanders win, which I wouldn't see why they would, because he'd raise taxes on all of them. But Hillary Clinton has been hit hard by the media, by the mainstream media, even by the liberal media, MSNBC and CNN. They talk about her emails every day for the last 2 years. They cover every new update about Benghazi last year. They do stay on her. So when people say she controls the media, it's just not true. If anything, the media was trying to take her down for a long time. But that's a different subject. So like I said, when you look at it from a personality battle, a lot of blacks, African Americans, like straight shooters, right? They like people that are honest. They feel like they've been tricked a lot in the past, and a lot of rural white Americans also feel the same way. They feel like they've missed out on Obama's economic miracle that took place between his 8 years. The markets are booming out of control, unemployment rates at record lows, and the economy is stable. The car industry is stable. Our manufacturing industries are actually quite stable. Crime is at record lows across the country. The country is actually in a really good state of mind right now. But Donald Trump has really painted it as a terrible thing. He's been going to black churches, which if you look at some of the pictures of Matthew's black churches, he's really kind of awkward. You could tell he doesn't fit in and he's not used to it. But he's been going to these black churches as a publicity stunt because he has literally 1 to 0% of the African American vote, and trying his very best to convince them that Hillary Clinton is a bigot. And he's even said that before. She's a bigot, anti-black, and she's pretty much trying to use the blacks to win office. And that's what he's been panning her as. And Hillary Clinton, I gotta admit, she hasn't really pushed too hard for the African American community. I would not say that she is totally for the African American community, unlike Barack Obama was. And I do not think that she would be the best representative of America. But this is the situation we're in now. The situation is this is a race now between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Jill Stein and Gary Johnson, I'm not going to talk about them. They have zero chance of winning. It's too late. There's less than 40 days. And if you look at the policies, which I'm going to talk about policy now. If you look at the policies between these two candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, a black guy and even poor people should vote for Hillary Clinton. You're probably thinking, oh, you're biased, you're paid off, you're one of her surrogates. No, I'm not. I'm looking at this specifically from a policy perspective, not a personality perspective. You got to get the personalities out of your mind. We need to look at it from policy, right? So let's look at Donald Trump's policies, and let's look at Hillary Clinton's policies, and let's figure out which policies would help out the average African American. And then it would be wise for you to review these policies in depth and make your decision based on their policies, not based on who lied more, why they lied, who's corrupt. Because let's be honest, both of these politicians have lied. Both of them have, skeletons in a closet. But that doesn't matter. Pretty much every politician does, right? That's how they get there, right? You don't become president by being a nice guy. So let's look at, and I'm not saying choose the lesser two evils, but let's look at these two candidates' policies. Just recently, Donald Trump, let's start off with Donald Trump. Just recently, Donald Trump said that he is going to legalize stop-and-frisk policies. That means that officers can stop you whenever they want. Whenever they want, for any reason possible, to frisk you, to see if you have drugs, to see if you have a gun, see if you are doing something illegal. Before this policy, they had to have a reason to stop you. You had to be doing something suspicious, right? Like running across the street like a crazy person, or running away from a store. It looks like you robbed something. But you could be walking down the street, and now police could stop you under this policy. How is that going to impact African Americans? Well, African Americans, historically, and even now, studies have shown, are targeted more by police officers than white people. Even if you look at the ratios, there's more white people in this country than blacks. Blacks still get pulled over more just for being black. Now imagine if they could get pulled over for any reason at all, or stopped on the street for any reason at all. What's going to happen? We're going to see more racial tensions spur across the country. We're going to see more blacks, especially the black youth, get locked up, get high fees, get tickets, just because they were walking down the street and they might have had a little bag of weed on them. They might have had they might have had something they shouldn't have had, but they're not going to do anything bad with it, right? They're going to get locked up more. And Donald Trump is in cahoots with these private prisons. He's going to make a fortune off of it, and private prisons are going to do very well. So that's one of the main issues I have with Donald Trump, is that stop and frisk historically puts more blacks behind bars. That's what will happen. And that is one of the main reasons I can never vote for Donald Trump. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big believer in a police force. Without the police, we would have chaos. People would be looting, shooting, it'd be bad. You need law and order. And I agree with that with Donald Trump. But stop and frisk will inherently have cops, especially more racially segregated areas to pull over blacks and arrest them. And that's not what we need. So the second issue that I have with Donald Trump is his tax policy. If you look at his tax policies, and Hillary Clinton brought it up during the debate, his tax policies are going to cut taxes on the ultra rich, including himself. It's going to allow them, and he's pretty much basing his theory off of Reaganomics. If you cut the money, if you cut a tax on the rich, the money will trickle down to the poor. That doesn't happen. When people get rich, they move their money overseas and they buy yachts overseas. They put their money in Hong Kong. They put their money in Europe and London, and they put their money in nice flats in Manhattan or mutual funds or hedge funds. Right? They don't give extra bonuses or anything. So that's just not true at all. And his taxes will increase on the poor, which will hit the black community. And that's the last thing they need right now is more taxes. Another major issue I have with Donald Trump is that he wants to punish people. He wants to pretty much shut down Planning Parenthood and punish women that get abortions. I have been to Planning Parenthood multiple times in the past with girlfriends because they might have had different infections or different problems. Nothing crazy, but they've had different issues. And Planning Parenthood has been a great way to give advice. And I've noticed, especially in Columbus and Chicago, it's a lot of African Americans there that need help, and they get help at Planning Parenthood. They get advice. They get STD checks. They get HIV checks. They get birth control. They get sometimes they get an abortion if they were raped. Donald Trump ultimately wants to shut down Planning Parenthood. Now, what happens if you shut down Planned Parenthood? It will target African Americans in a very negative way. And you could see this through Mike Pence's administration. When Mike Pence was a governor of Indiana, he actually defunded quite a few Planned Parenthoods within Indiana. And in this one area, a city called Austin, Indiana, HIV spiked because there was no Planned Parenthoods. People couldn't get STD checks. They couldn't go buy cheap condoms there. They couldn't buy different contraptions, and they couldn't get advice on sex. It was awful. And the campaign, the media hasn't really focused on Mike Pence's stupidity and his mistakes as governor and how HIV spiked. But hopefully that comes up during the Tim Kaine and Mike Pence debate. So wiping out Planned Parenthood, I understand. A lot of people are against abortions. But let's keep in mind that only 2 to 3% of Planned Parenthood's services come from abortions. 95% are STD checks, different types of medicines for infections, and just overall checkups, and of course getting birth control and stuff like that, which is great. The community needs that. It keeps the community clean. It keeps HIV down, and it keeps the Black African community healthy and a place to go to if they don't have a lot of cash on deck. So that's good, and shutting that down is just a really bad idea, and it's not going to be good for the African American community, or not just African American community, but just the community in general, right? Just the community in general. It's just not good for. I like I said, if you disagree with abortions, that's cool. I understand that. But Planned Parenthood, the whole concept of having a place that is affordable, that offers a lot of services for people that need it, that might have some type of sexual disease or something, is great, right? So Donald Trump's policies just are not good for African Americans. And, I could list off a lot more. He wants to cut Obamacare, and Obamacare has significantly helped out the African American community. Millions of blacks have signed up for Obamacare because it is affordable, and it does help out a lot. And it has helped out the African American community. So it's really sad that a lot of people are saying that Donald Trump's policies are going to help out the African American community, because it's not. Cutting health care towards blacks is another negative thing, and that's what Donald Trump wants to do. He wants to repeal Obamacare and completely get rid of it. And he says he's going to replace it with something terrific, but there's no evidence for that at all. He hasn't given any type of health care plan. Also, another thing Donald Trump wants to do is either he wants to pretty much cut Social Security. There are millions upon millions of blacks, especially in inner cities, the older ones, 60-year-old plus, that rely on Social Security to pay their bills. They rely on Social Security because they're old. They've had issues in life. They have problems, and they need that Social Security check. It's not even a lot of money. It could be $400 or $500 a month. It's not a lot of cash, right? But they rely on that. Cutting that will throw African Americans deeper into poverty than they already are. The African American already has a significant disadvantage just by being born in the U.S. compared to a white guy, right? The average African American's net worth is $11,000, opposed to the white man's $100,000. Of course, it's skewed because there's so many white multimillionaires and billionaires, but that's fact. So we're just going to make the inequality between blacks and whites expand drastically. So under Donald Trump's policies, it would be damaging for the African community in every way, socially, economically, and I would dare say psychologically wise too. So Hillary Clinton, why do I think African Americans should vote for Hillary Clinton despite the crap they have heard from Trump supporters, despite the crap they have heard about her emails in Benghazi, and despite the fact that they don't owe their vote to the Democratic Party? I completely agree with that. African Americans don't owe anybody anything. They should be owed. We never got our 40 acres, right? We never got our mules. So, we've never had our payment back from the government. So why should they vote for her despite all that? And I'm going to get into that in 1 minute. But let me go ahead and talk real quick about African Americans not owing anybody any vote. I completely agree with a lot of these professors are saying. They don't owe anybody any vote. They don't. They should be able to vote for who they want and vote for who's going to represent them the best and who's going to help them the most. Yes, I completely agree. At the end of the day, blacks need to help themselves by investing in their own businesses, by building their own businesses, by saving their own capital, and by investing and working hard. There is absolutely no doubt about that. I would never question the value of hard work and saving. Nobody would question that. What I'm saying is Hillary Clinton as a candidate, her policies, her economic and social policies would be more beneficial than Donald Trump's policies. And in fact, Hillary Clinton's policies would benefit African Americans significantly. You're thinking, whoa, now you're being biased. No, I'm not. Now let me tell you why. Hillary Clinton wants to make community college free. Yes, free. For anybody that makes $125,000 a year. So right now, one of the biggest reasons blacks don't go to college is because it's outrageously expensive, right? It's thousands upon thousands of dollars. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn, right? He doesn't give a damn. He has not even talked about education once running as president. She's going to make college free. That's not a handout. I hate it when these white people always say we're giving handouts to blacks. No, it's not a handout. Countries all across Europe and Scandinavia have enough money to ensure that people get an education. Education is a right, just like healthcare should be a right. Every human and everybody living in the United States should have access to affordable education and affordable health care. And her giving people a community college will allow the black community to move up society, get an education, and compete in the economy, save for themselves and invest in their own businesses, and do what Dr. Watkins does, save money and invest and help out the community. For them to get an education would significantly help them get out of poverty. It would help them contribute to their families, and it would allow them to actually become mobile and work with different countries, work with different cultures, work with the white man, because you got to work with them. They're not going anywhere. Work with the white man, work with the Chinese man and the Russians and the British, and make money and help out their own community. That's the main reason I would say African Americans should, especially young ones, between the ages of 18 and 25, that is the reason. You're going to get an education that is significantly cheaper and free. The second reason is she wants to expand healthcare. That's great, not just for blacks, but it's good for everybody. But black people, especially the poor ones, think about if you're a wealthy black guy or a woman, think about some of your friends that don't have as much money, right? Don't you think that they should have access to a doctor? Don't you think that they should be able to get treatment? Of course you do. If they were sick, wouldn't you want to see them get help? You wouldn't want to see them rejected because they might be a brokey broke. Hillary Clinton wants to expand Obamacare. Obamacare is not perfect. Don't get me wrong. It was expensive. It was rolled out incorrectly, but it's the best we got. And she's going to improve that and ensure that African Americans have a chance to get health care that they're taken care of. Another thing that Hillary Clinton wants to do is she's completely against the stop and frisk. She thinks it's racist, and it is racist, and it will target blacks. She's also completely against these private colleges that have been scanning blacks all across the country, like Trump University, right? A big scam. And she's against these private prisons that throw blacks in there for a long time and have a motive in keeping blacks in there as long as possible. She also wants to expand Planning Parenthood to make sure that poor communities have access to sexual services, right? Get birth control, get tested. That's good for the African American community, right? So to me, voting for Hillary Clinton is the obvious candidate. The obvious candidate. Now, if you compare it to the other two people, Gary Johnson is just a total moron. But if you compare it to Jill Stein obviously is better, right, when it comes to domestic and economic issues. I agree with that. But she's not going to be able to win. And she's sitting at 1% of the polls. So you have Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, and if you compare their policies, their economic policies, their social policies, and of course their domestic issues, Hillary Clinton blows Donald Trump out the water when it comes to African Americans making the right choice. It's very clear. Do not let this rhetoric of Donald Trump's going to help out the black people and you don't owe Democrats your vote rhetoric get in the way of making the right choice. You do not owe them your vote. But your vote would be much more useful going to the Democratic Party and getting Hillary Clinton and Democrats elected than Donald Trump. In fact, there are so many studies from Harvard, Yale, and Princeton that says minorities and blacks do much, much better under a Democratic president than you do under a Republican president. The main reason is Republicans cut Social Security, they cut health care, and they cut education benefits. They cut affirmative action, which significantly plays a negative effect in African American lives. There is a new study that it's not new, but it's called Under Democratic Presidents, Minorities Make Economic Gains, and so do whites. And it was published by University of California, San Diego. And one statistic I really want to tell you is it says economic outcomes clearly diverge under Democratic versus Republican presidents, especially for African Americans. Under Democratic presidents, black families' income grew on average $895 annually, but grew only by $142 under Republicans. The black unemployment rate fell by a net 7.9 percentage points across the 26 years of Democratic leadership, but went up by a net of 13.7 points during 28 years of Republican presidencies. Across the years of Democratic leadership, black poverty declined by a net of 23.6 percentage points, but grew by 3 points when Republicans held the White House. These are facts, people. These are facts. And don't let the Republicans and the white man try to tell you, oh, the Democrats don't care about you. They don't want to help you. They're using you for your vote. That's not true. Democrats are typically trying to help out the middle and lower class. They like to expand social benefits. Republicans want to cut it underneath you. They don't give a damn. Republicans like to use this crap saying stuff like, we are conservative. Actually, they're not. All Republicans care about is taxing the rich as little as possible. And Reagan is proof of that. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and click like. And go ahead and subscribe below. And I look forward to hearing from you all again soon. Take it easy. Peace.